start with Ryan up front here. What stands out about Georgia's defense? Why are they hard to run the ball against?
The number one thing that stands out is the ability to rotate so many different people at the line of scrimmage in their front seven. Just kind of like when you look at their defensive line, when you look at their linebacker core, the biggest thing is like it's constant new bodies as we go through the film, all the film from the year. You know, it's always a new body, new linebacker, new D lineman. They also do a really good job of shedding blocks. You know, those guys do a good job of two-gapping, playing through the defender and making sure they shed and get to the ball carrier. So, you know, obviously the speed is something that jumps out at you as well. You know, across the board, all those guys can run. So that's one of the things that I feel like that just stands out constantly against them.
Brent?
Coach, you guys have been so good against the run up until Saturday. When you watch the tape, what stood out about the struggles in the run game? What's kind of your message to your backs moving forward here?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was like the first quarter when you look at it, you know, we never really got into the rhythm of the game. I think we had 3 plays or so in the entire first quarter. So by the time we got the ball, it might have been 11 minutes again in the second quarter. So one thing is we just never were able to get a true rhythm of the game from the running back position. I do think we have to continue to do a better job of pressing blocks, make sure we're reading it like we should. But once again, it kind of falls into not being in the rhythm, not being able to take some of those hits and see those different techniques and see that different wash of the defensive line that you can normally see throughout the course of the game. The biggest thing that we're going to say to the running backs is really just make sure we continue to prepare the way we're supposed to. You know, don't let that one game affect the way we finish this season off. We've done some really good things this entire season, so we got to make sure we continue to be adamant about the way we prepare and all those different things. You know, we're going to make a big emphasis on ball security is another thing we got to make sure we do. Obviously, we fumbled the ball, put one on the ground the other day. We haven't really done that the entire year, so that is going to be another emphasis of doing the practice.
Vince, then Adam.
What did you guys see with Dylan Samson bumping into Joe Milton for that fumble? When you broke that down, what did that come down to?
You know, I think it's both parties. You know, one thing we talked about Dylan Samson as a running back position, we always want to take accountability and see what we could have done better, you know, before we start looking at what actually happened on the play. And I think the biggest thing was we were playing on tempo, so we were trying to get lined up extremely fast. Then the second thing is Dylan was a little bit too tight to the quarterback. So one thing we always talk about is our alignment in the backfield. That's where everything starts, at being aligned in the right position. We as a running back group got to make sure our distance between us and the quarterback is spot on. Then there's some things from a fundamental standpoint, just the mesh, doing things like that we always do in practice from the first day that we got to continue to clean up on.
Regardless of the circumstances of why the run game didn't work, it obviously didn't work. There was, I'm sure, a lot of pride in your guys of how well y'all have run the ball all year. Do you sense that pride is down a little bit? Is there frustration, or do they need to regain something that they lost in that game?
I really don't. You know, we've had a lot of success here, not just this year, but in the past running the football. And that's one game. You know, like we always tell players, you don't let one game define exactly what happens to you or who you are. And, you know, we did have success for those 3 hours and some change that we were on the football field the other night. That doesn't mean we're still not a really good offense. That doesn't mean we're not a really good running back core. The way these guys prepare, the attitude that they approach in the building every day, you know, that's something that we always take pride in. And that's going to be no different this week. You got to put that away, put it in the bank, you know, use it for later. Just never forget that situation that happened so it doesn't happen again. So we're just going to reset and refocus this week.
Mike up front, and then Casey in the back.
Yeah, Coach, Georgia went down their All-American middle linebacker, Jamon Dumas-Johnson, a couple games ago. Probably won't play with a broken form. They got a couple of freshmen there that played the last game. What did you see from number 5 and number 33?
Yeah, really physical, like really physical bunch. Not only just those two guys, but the entire group of linebackers. They're active, they're athletic, they do a great job of flying to the football in pursuit, and then when they get there, they know how to finish plays. You know, when you play a team like Georgia, one thing is it's going to be tough to get yards after contact because they are so physical, they are so strong. So that's going to be a great challenge to the guys like Jalen Wright, Jabari, and Dylan to make sure that they have great pad level, that they're making sure they continue to drive their feet on contact. So those linebackers in Georgia, they don't want to give you anything. They're stingy, and we got to do a great job of matching that intensity.
So no difference with the freshmen from the.
No, I feel like, you know, you stick one of them in, they all look about the same. They all flying around.
Casey.
Going up against that Georgia defense, how do you make sure that you're maximizing the amount of yards that you can get every single carry?
You know, we talked a lot in the running back room this week about draining everything we can out of running the football, not minimizing plays. That means if a play is blocked up for about 5 yards, we need to be trying to get 8, 9, 10 yards out of it. So if it's 2 or 3 yards, we need to get 4 or 5. So, you know, trying to maximize every potential carry. That means in the backfield and also too on the perimeter. You know, we've done some things in the past here that we throw the ball, pitch the ball to the outside, and we got to make sure we can stay out of those situations where it's going to be 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. You know, you would love for the running back to do a great job of finishing through contact and making sure that we're in 1st down as opposed to 3rd and 1.
Patrick.
Coach, Jalen obviously he had some fumble issues, but they were a long time ago. He's been pretty clean in that front this season. How did he handle the turnover the other day, and how did you handle it with him?
Well, you know, one thing we got great confidence in Jalen, and that one fumble, like I said, he hasn't fumbled the entire year, and it really wasn't a situation where it was egregious about how he went about fumbling. He was a little bit off balance. He was trying to get to what we call the arm bar, get 2 hands on the ball and come down with it. And then the second guy came in kind of late. It looks like he put a helmet on. It's kind of hard to tell from the coach's view in the film. But it wasn't a situation where he was where he didn't have really good ball security. He has to do a better job of squeezing the football when he gets in that position. Then, the first play of the second half, he comes out, some miscommunication going on, but obviously he could have caught the ball and it should have been on the ground. But he got to learn how to reset, and I thought he did a good job. One of the reasons, as the course of the game kind of unfolded, Samson kind of got in a rhythm. He had a couple of good runs, and at the very back end of the game, it was cold. Felt like we was going like we always do, go with the hot hand. That's the only reason.
3 more, Vince, Casey, then Mike.
Coach, as you know, Georgia does a lot of pre-snap movement there on that D-line with the stems and everything. What kind of challenges that present for your guys to know their responsibilities and not react to that and get you guys behind the chains?
A lot of that is on the quarterback position, just to make sure he gives the offensive line time to go ahead and ID the fronts like he's supposed to. So a big part of it is on the quarterback, but as running back position, we got to make sure when they do stem, we understand how the fits change a little bit. We got to understand how the protection rules may change some if they do decide to stem. So really more about just understanding when we start a drive, and also too, when it's potential clock stoppage sometimes, we got to make sure that we kind of see the movement and still on alert of our pre-snap keys.
The amount of yards that JaMarr Small has been getting out of per carry has been down the last 4 weeks. Is there anything he can do to increase his effectiveness in that regard, or has it just been kind of situational?
It's really been situational. JaMarr is a really dynamic football player. He hasn't had some of the explosive runs that he's had in the past, and that's not really because of him being less of a player or any injury or anything like that. It's just about the opportunity when he gets in the game. For whatever the reason, he's been put in those situations where they're a little bit more 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. So obviously when it's those situations, you're going to run the ball in between the tackles a little bit more, and just hasn't been able to kind of pop some of those explosive runs that he had in the past. But it's really not anything to do with him per se. It's really just about the situation that he's been put into.
Coach, last time you played Georgia, it was a pretty loud environment. Communication was an issue. I think Coach Heupel acknowledged that after the game. Playing at home, does this give your players a better opportunity to communicate, maybe be more effective in the run game?
I think anytime we get a chance to play in Neyland Stadium, I think that's a great opportunity for us. Our crowd does a good job of being loud when the opponents, in a 3rd down position, and they understand now, how to be somewhat quiet when we have the ball to make sure that we can communicate the way we need to. I think our guys really enjoy playing at home. I think there's an extra energy, an extra boost for those guys. We haven't played the SEC game here in a couple of weeks, so they're going to be fired up to come in. I think our crowd is going to be juicy. The players obviously going to be excited to get back at home.
Thank you, Coach.